So she took your brother, she took off. Prior to that, it was a very loud house with the domestic violence, or no?
It was, and I feel like that's sort of like an Asian dirty secret. Like, we don't really like to tell our business, outside of the house. And in fact, all my black friends and I were all like, we knew never to tell our shit outside the house.
Right.
So, yeah, there was a lot of like knife fighting, and I remember people, my
Between
father,
your parents?
between my between my mother and my father. I actually walked through the kitchen once, and they were like, they had their hands in the sink, and my father's like waving this fucking cleaver around, and he's like, I'm gonna chop your hand off and then my hand. And at that point I was just so used to it that I was like, I gotta ride tricycles now, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, like, who's gonna clean this up if you're both like have one hand?
Yeah.
So
Oh my God.
yeah.
I mean, that's not funny, but that's...
Oh, it is. I'm all for gallows humor.
Yeah. Yes,
It
you are.
It gets us through. But,
that's evident in your movie, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad that the humor shone through.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, it definitely was not a traditional upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I felt a little relief when that all kind of died down. But then I just started, missing my mother and my brother.
And then, so how was your relationship with your father after they left?
It's been really close. In fact, I think that's why my mother, like, resented me, because, she was kind of knocked off her block when I came into the scene. And my father and I were really, really close. I was a total daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in New York, so I remember actually walking with my mother and being like, I hear Baba's voice, and she was like, no, we're on the street in New York, like, this is, and he's not here. And I turned around, and he was like 4 paces behind us, and I was like, see?
Ooh.
So we were always really close, and we remained really close. I think, again, looking at it now through the eyes of a 53-year-old, I think we became very enmeshed.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, God bless him, I think had a lot of issues. I think he struggled with depression. He was a guy who was like, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. He has the soul of like a poet. If you speak to him, he's like really super deep, really sensitive, comes up with these like, gold nuggets. But he was, I think, it was hard for him to function in this world.
Yeah.
So he was a brilliant guy who went to a great school in Taiwan, came over here and, was a waiter. There's nothing wrong with being a waiter, but he was then a waiter, and I think very frustrated in a lot of ways, and drank,
Mm-hmm.
So I come by my alcoholism, honestly.
Ah. Is your father not with us anymore?
No, he's here.
Okay, because you're speaking about him in the past tense. I didn't know.
Because I view that father and this father, they've started to merge now, but I saw them for a while as 2 different entities.
Okay.
And so I'm merging them now, and he's, I think with sobriety and living a certain, and going through the steps and stuff like that, it's allowed me the ability to see past the flawed, like, guy who went out drinking at night instead of coming home to his daughter, and recognizing that he's like the first true love of my life. Like, he's the template for love for me, and we were very, very close.